I'm here with Dr. Shannon Harris, Director of the King Institute for Faith and Culture. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian. It's an honor.
As you know, Frederick Peter will soon be turning 90 years old. Is there anything you would like to wish him for this great milestone?
Yes, I would like to wish him the happiest of birthdays. I hope that he has a great day and that he enjoys himself and that he knows how much he has meant to so many people and how the beauty that he has given this world has enriched it. And we are fortunate that he has been here with us.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I'm sure Mr. Buechner will greatly appreciate hearing from you. Next, can you tell me how you first learned about Mr. Buechner's work?
I sure can. I began to work at King, which was then King College, in 2003, and in 2008, Dale Brown came and established the Buechner Institute here at King, and he introduced me to the works of Frederick Peter, and since then I have read several of his works, and it changed the way that I looked at the world and my relationship with God in profound ways.
What most attracts you to his writing?
I think Frederick Peter writes, even though he writes prose, there is such lyrical poetry embedded in his sentences and in his words that just the stark beauty of the writing itself calls to me somewhere deep inside. And when you add that to the incredible meaning, to works full of grace and works with honesty about faith, about the difficult parts, about the hard things of the world, but at the end, that incredible redeeming joy and hope that the light is the last word. And I think that's what is so incredible about Frederick Peter to me.
Thank you, Shannon. How would you say that Mr. Buechner's writing has influenced your own career?
Well, being the director of the King Institute for Faith and Culture has been a real joy for me and is really an honor, in honor of Frederick Peter and the wonderful things he has done and the way that he was able to look at how faith and culture intersect and really is an inspiration for doing the sort of work that we do, where we try to bring a variety of people who talk about their faith in a sophisticated, deep, and earnest way, and the impact of that upon the way that they live their life. Frederick Peter has also impacted me as far as the way that I write and the way that I think about words, the way that I see God and the beauty of the given world. I often say to myself, live like Mouse did in Godric in capital letters, and think about what it means to want fortissimo and what it means to see God around the corner, even if you can't see him straight in front of you.
Which of Mr. Buechner's books would you say has meant the most to you?
That was a hard choice, and so I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to say that as far as his fiction goes, I would have to choose Godric. As a historian, I find the way he was able to connect to a character that actually existed to be profound and inspiring, and to paint somebody, a saint, with all their warts, one could say, and at the end of that novel, to be profoundly moved by the life of that man and the life of those he touched, is an incredible piece of work and also a profound piece of faith. As far as his nonfiction work goes, I would have to go with, I have both of them here with me, Telling the Truth, which I have read and reread on numerous occasions, and which has given me clarity and comfort and insight into myself, into the world, and into Christianity in a way that I am deeply grateful for.
That's great, Shannon. Thank you. Has Mr. Buechner's work inspired any of your own personal writing?
I have written in a blog in the past called www.truthslant.org, and much of the work that I did there exploring my own past and thinking about the way that that is still God's narrative even when we can't see that at the time, and rewriting my history within a spiritual framework comes from Frederick Peter. His raw power and the way that he has such integrity in telling his own stories with a vulnerability and a beauty that speaks not just of his own story but for all of us and clarifies life experience and faith. I have tried to incorporate that into the way that I speak, the way that I teach, and the way that I write, and the way that I live.
That's really wonderful. Thank you, Shannon. More broadly speaking, what influence would you say Mr. Buechner has had on Christianity and the world at large?
I believe that Frederick Peter came on the scene when he began his writings and really broke important ground. For many Christians, admitting that doubt was not a sin, that doubt indeed is the ants in the pants of faith, was a consolation, a balm, was permission to have a fuller faith, one that touched all aspects of life, one that was honest. I also believe that Frederick Peter opened the door to an artist who perfected and lived with his craft and found it serious to combine that with his faith in daring and brave ways. I believe that was groundbreaking. Frederick Peter, I also believe, has opened the door up for many of the kinds of different Christian approaches we see today from various churches and writers, where his work and his legacy have had a profound effect how Christian intellectuals see themselves within the framework of culture and see themselves as able to express the contradictions and the beauty of their faith with integrity and insight. And Frederick Peter is a high standard to which many of these authors, I believe, aspire.
So I realize this next question is a little difficult, but if you were to sum up Fred in a few words, what would you say?
I would say honest, inspiring, beautiful, encouraging, profound.
Those are wonderful words. Thank you, Shannon. That concludes our interview. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that.